Godot. Let's pull it apart.
September 2023, a major game engine announces a runtime fee, per installation, retroactive. The developer community reacts immediately. Downloads of the open source alternative spike. The fee is later withdrawn, but the damage is done. If pricing could change once, it could change again. March 2025, upgrading to version 4.4 crashes a project. Unusable in normal and recovery mode. July, a regression causes memory exhaustion loading scripting files. August, the same regression crashes mobile devices. Godot, built as a private consulting engine in the late 2000s. Open sourced in 2014 under a license guaranteeing no royalties, no fees, and no corporate reversal. The engine that became the default recommendation for independent game development, not because of a marketing campaign, but because of a license choice made a decade before the competitor's pricing proved why it mattered. The two creators built the engine privately in the late 2000s for consulting clients. When they decided to open source it in February 2014, they chose a license that allows commercial use without any obligation to release the game's source code. The distinction from the alternative open source license matters specifically for game studios that want open source tooling without the legal complexity of copyleft requirements. The third generation established the engine's credibility in two-dimensional game development. A working three-dimensional pipeline followed, though it was limited compared to commercial alternatives. The fourth generation shipped on the 1st of March 2023 after more than 3 years of rewriting. A modern rendering backend, significantly improved three-dimensional capability, a revised scripting language, backward incompatibility with third-generation projects. The migration cost was real. In 2022, the project moved governance from a fiscal sponsor to an independent foundation, ensuring that no single corporate entity could control the engine's direction. A separate commercial company founded by engine veterans provides console porting and professional services without being part of the foundation's governance. The company raised $15 million in funding to support commercial adoption of the engine. The separation between the foundation that governs the open source project and the company that provides commercial services around it is deliberate. The engine remains independent. The commercial ecosystem grows alongside it without controlling it. The upgrade failures follow the pattern of a rapidly iterating open source engine. In March 2025, upgrading to version 4.4 left a project unusable in both normal and recovery mode. In August 2024, updating from 4.2 to 4.3 broke custom resource types. In April 2024, a crash deleted the project metadata file. The project asset still existed on disk, but the engine could no longer see the project in its launcher. For a user who does not understand the engine's file structure, the project appears to have been deleted entirely when the recovery is actually straightforward if the user knows which file to recreate. In March 2025, a version control sync conflict left a project in a state where the only fix was deleting the internal cache directory and letting the engine rebuild it. The scripting language performance regression is the more systemic concern. In July 2025, a development build caused high memory usage and out-of-memory crashes when loading large numbers of script files. In August 2025, the same class of regression crashed smaller mobile devices on export. For an engine whose scripting language is the primary development interface, performance regressions in the language runtime affect every project that uses it. In December 2025, a user reported the engine crashing repeatedly to the point of being unusable. The interaction between the graphics driver and the rendering backend produced crashes that no configuration change resolved. In February 2024, the engine crashed whenever any project was opened. The community identified graphics driver interactions as a recurring factor. The rendering backend's sensitivity to driver versions is a known friction point. The product, when it works, provides the most accessible path to game development in any engine in this comparison. The scripting language is designed to be readable by anyone familiar with basic programming concepts. The project architecture uses a scene and node system that makes structure visual and explicit. Two-dimensional game development is the engine's signature strength and the area where it is the clear first choice among open source tools. Export targets include desktop operating systems, mobile platforms, and web browsers from a single project without additional licensing. An alternative scripting language using a mainstream programming framework is supported for developers who prefer it, though the primary scripting language remains the more integrated and commonly used option. The three-dimensional pipeline has improved substantially through each fourth-generation release. Version 4.6 in January 2026 focused on stability, polish, and workflow improvements rather than architectural changes. The rendering capability trails the real-time engine earlier in this comparison significantly in visual fidelity. For stylized three-dimensional games where photorealistic lighting and geometry are not the requirement, the gap is acceptable. For projects that need the visual ceiling, it is not. The license is the structural competitive advantage the community cites most consistently. No royalties, no runtime fees, no per installation charges, and no corporate strategy that could reverse the terms. The competitor's September 2023 pricing decision demonstrated what can happen when a commercial engine's pricing model changes. The open source license cannot change in the same way because the existing code is permanently available under the terms it was released under. Forks are possible. Corporate capture is structurally prevented by the license and the foundation governance. Someone building a two-dimensional game at any scale should use this engine. The two-dimensional tooling is the best available in the open source category. The scene and node system makes project structure accessible. The scripting language is learnable in days rather than weeks. The license eliminates every commercial concern that a corporate engine introduces. Someone building a three-dimensional indie game with stylized aesthetics should evaluate version 4.6 against the specific visual requirements. The three-dimensional pipeline improves with each release for photorealistic or high-fidelity real-time output. The engine earlier in this comparison provides capabilities this engine does not match. For stylized or low-poly aesthetics, where gameplay matters more than graphics, the engine is increasingly competitive. Someone migrating from a commercial engine after the September 2023 pricing decision should understand that the enthusiasm was real and the complexity of migration was also real. The license advantage is permanent. The learning curve exists, the ecosystem is smaller, the asset marketplace has fewer offerings, the commercial middleware integrations are fewer. The migration is a long-term investment in license independence, not an overnight replacement for a commercial workflow. Someone concerned about the upgrade regressions should pin to a stable version and avoid upgrading mid-project unless the new version addresses a specific requirement. The version 4.6 release prioritized stability and polish over new features. For production work, selecting a stable release and staying on it until the project ships is the discipline the upgrade history recommends. The two creators who built an engine for consulting clients and open-sourced it in 2014 under a license that prevents corporate capture, built the engine that a pricing decision by a competitor turned into the most discussed alternative in game development. The scripting regressions are real, the upgrade crashes are documented, the three-dimensional pipeline trails the commercial engines, the two-dimensional tooling is the best in the open-source category. The license is the structural advantage no commercial engine can replicate. The foundation governance prevents the pricing surprise that created the migration wave. For the independent developer who values license clarity above ecosystem breadth, the engine provides development capability at zero cost, with the guarantee that the cost will remain zero. The upgrade discipline is the user's responsibility, the license protection is the engine's guarantee, the tool works. The philosophy it represents is what the community chose when the alternative demonstrated the risk of depending on a corporate license. Independence has a learning curve. The curve is the cost the license does not charge.